Welcome back to the WiEA pod. Your eyes and your ears do not deceive you. I'm not Verona, I'm not Claire, and I'm not Kirsty. I'm far more attractive than that. Of course not. I am actually standing in. We've got a special surprise for you today. I'm Ben Madden, and I am going to be guest hosting with the wonderful Clare Hughes. But first, what normally happens at the start, as you'll all be familiar, is we thank Digital Sparks for their support in this wonderful podcast. And I'd be remiss not to talk about just how wonderful the Digital Sparks business is. But I won't, because it seemed a little bit self-indulgent. Clare Hughes joins us, the wonderful Clare. How are you, Clare?
I'm very well, thank you, Ben. I'm surprised you haven't done a bit more pitching on Digital Sparks.
Listen, I'm sure we're going to find a way to weave it in. And Clare, you've blown my mind. We're 10 seconds in and you haven't mentioned EXP.
EXP, who are they?
So, everybody, I think, anyone who's a regular to the pod will know Clare because Clare's one of the hosts. Anyone who is a regular to social media and estate agency and works in the same sort of circles or operates in circles will know Clare. But Clare, I today want to talk to the people that don't know you.
Right.
So let's start with your origin story. Tell everyone that maybe doesn't know Clare Hughes just a bit about you, what you've done, how you got here, who you are.
Okay, so my estate agency story.
Wow,
so,
how well?
Yeah, well, that's the bit that our circles are going to be more interested in, I guess. So it was after I had children that I sort of fell into the property sector, which is what everybody says. So I think my youngest was just a baby, and I started as a relocation agent because I live in East London. All the relo agents worked in Surrey and Kensington and Northwest London and around this area as well, but none of them in East London. So I thought, I can do that. So that's what I said I could do and did do that for a number of years. And then found my way into high street independence, doing mostly lettings, a bit of sales. And then Purplebricks came along. And I ran a territory for 5.5, 6 years with Purplebricks.
Well, we've got some stuff to unpack here already. We're 30 seconds in. So first, I didn't know you were a relo agent.
Right.
So that's a really interesting place to start. How did you get into that? Because that's quite niche.
I said I could do it and I did it.
That is, what an attitude. Said I can do it, I did it. Okay.
I didn't see why I couldn't do it. When it was explained to me what they were looking for, I thought I can do that, and I did. And so I'm good with people. I'm very much a people person. So, and looking after people. Obviously, most of my clients were coming in from, I don't know, New York, New Delhi, Germany, where mostly those three locations, and most of them were new to London, and they'd heard that East London was a cool place to be.
Hip and happening East
London. I know,
London.
I took them to Shoreditch and they were terrified.
Yeah, I can see that, I bet. So it was, you saw an advert, you thought, I fancy a bit of that, I'm good with people.
I think it came through a contact, and
Okay.
I can't remember how, but I definitely didn't apply for a job. I was told these people are looking for somebody in East London.
Okay, so that is a pretty cool start, actually. Yeah,
It was
and
good
then
fun.
how comes why did you transition over to estate agency or sort of high street agency?
So come 2007, 8, all the big finance companies just put a stop on any movement.
Mm-hmm.
And so my business just fell off a cliff overnight.
Okay.
So I thought, better get a job then.
Better go get a basic salary in a high street office.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, they've got some benefits, haven't they?
Yeah, occasionally.
So how much time did you work on the high street? What was your experience of that like?
Again, it was East London. It was a bit of a Wild West, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't as much regulation in lettings then as there is now. So I was probably there, actually not that long.
Really?
Probably sort of 3 or 4 years, I guess. Okay. And then there's a break. I had about a year. I was working, but I was doing other things. Okay. And then Purplebricks came along.
And so were you, when you were on the high street, was it an independent or
just an independent.
Fond memories or?
I learnt a lot.
Okay.
I learnt a lot, yeah. And I was also involved in a big project for the Olympics because obviously we were ideally placed for that.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time getting units for some of the broadcasting companies that were coming over. So at its peak, we had 250 units that we were running as effectively short-term lets. But they run, the Olympics, when they go around the world, they take units for up to 18 months.
Really?
Some of the execs need to come over. All sorts of people need to be here. It's not just for 2 or 3 weeks. It's months and months and months. It goes up. There's a peak for about a month. But yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. It was great fun to be involved in, yeah.
So that was 2008, financial crisis. You go to the high street, you've got the 4-year build up to the Olympics. So great timing to enjoy that and get a load of experience.
Yeah, we were in the office I was working in was absolutely ideally placed. It was in between Canary Wharf, Stratford and Excel, which is where the broadcasters needed to be.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'd say great fun.
Good. And then so you mentioned you had a bit of time out, and then Purplebricks comes along. Well, I mean, let's get into Purplebricks for 5 minutes. Tell us.
Only 5 minutes?
Well, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, okay. And then we can move on to something else. So Purplebricks, so I didn't get the sales territory, that had already gone. I'd got the lettings territory for East London. And it was amazing, and it was quite a journey. The energy, when you had meetings, it was the culture, it was superb for a time. And I really enjoyed it, really, really enjoyed it. I thought I had my own business, because that's what we were led to believe. But effectively, I don't think we really did.
Okay. So before we get on to what you didn't have, I'm really interested in a business like Purplebricks, which, remote based, new model, new style of operation, how they managed to build such a positive culture in the early days.
I think it comes down to the senior management. It's the Bruce brothers and the people they had around them, because they kind of got the band back together, didn't they? They brought in people that they knew, and they built that culture. They got out and about to see their agents across the country. I think they probably made a mistake going to Australia and the US. They'd probably admit that as well. But yeah, it was a really good culture for a time.
And so, give me some details, because I think it's genuinely a really interesting concept that high street agency for a period of time was the bread and butter. And and that's all my background, and I've got I think a good understanding of how to build culture, how to have fun, how to care about people when you're in the same room. COVID comes along, people are working all over the place. What's normal now looks very, very different. And it's something that it's a question that I constantly have about the future of not just agency, but lots of working environments. If we're not in the same environment, how do we build culture? How do we train? How do we improve? How do we develop? What did they do that tick those boxes?
I think it was the face-to-face meetings, and they did do a lot of them, sort of whether it's go out for drinks or, I mean, the Bruce brothers do like to party, so there was a lot of going out for drinks, their conferences and things. But this was before COVID, obviously, so before we were used to Zoom meetings and, Teams meetings. So they definitely didn't do it that way. I think, the fact that we had a lot of TV exposure as well, so we were kind of thinking, well, actually, they're doing what they say they're going to do, and we believed it, that they were really, they had our back.
And I guess, so lots of the industry are not fond of Purplebricks and what they did. My own personal view, and I think it's important to say that because we're on camera and talking about it, is that from a marketing perspective, I think they're one of the best, they created one of the best campaigns I think I've ever seen. They simply rebranded what we already do to make the perception that it's better value for money, just with slight tweaks to language. And I think that's genius.
I know.
Lots of people attribute them to being the root cause of the lowering of fees.
I don't believe that.
Tell us what you believe.
Well, I think people dropped their fees because they didn't know what else to do, because they couldn't think what else they've got to offer. What they should have been saying is, yes, but we've got a high street presence, and that means that we know the community, and we're involved in the community. And Purplebricks would come back and say, yeah, but we've got a local agent. But the reality of it was that only a few areas did they have that sort of really sort of agent that was successful in their area. My postcodes originally, when I took the territory, I took the E postcodes, the RM postcodes, and the IG postcodes. It was an enormous area. I mean, I couldn't possibly know those. So I quickly dropped that back, but still, it was too big an area to understand it sort of intimately. And, you know, and there will be variations and different trends in different areas. You know, it's the sales progression. Do you want somebody that you can speak to in the office, you know, on a more personal basis, or do you just want to call the call centre? Because the agents, they needed to keep getting more listings. They haven't got time to be dealing with their vendors who've got a problem with the sales progression, or we haven't heard back from our solicitor, or whatever it is. They just haven't got the time, or didn't have the time to do that. I don't quite know how it works now. I think
sure. I mean, I think it's a very, very different looking business.
Yeah.
But I think it does make for a really fascinating case study, because what they achieved in such a short space of time, they captured an enormous share of voice through outrageous marketing spend.
Yeah.
But you know, the episode before you this morning, the guests were talking about their small business being a bit of a cult.
Right.
And, you know, people really bought into it, and they drank the Kool-Aid, and they loved everything about the business. And I think for a time, Purplebricks ticked that box as well.
Yeah.
You know, the outside world might not have particularly liked them, the competition, the styling, but what you guys did in the early days is simply astonishing.
It was, I know. One of my favourite things at the conferences and things was, it was Ed Hughes, I think, is head of marketing, is looking at the stats and how we were comparing with other ad campaigns, not just agency ones, you know, top brands, you know, and brand recognition. Everybody knew who Purplebricks were.
Yeah.
Maybe they still do, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a marketing geek, and so the analysis is they've got share of voice through ridiculous spend, and at one point they were spending, I think, 300% of income. So you can see how they did it.
Yeah.
The issue, I guess, is longevity. Does the model work?
Yeah.
We'll move past Purplebricks in a sec, but I just want to get your thoughts on why you think it was going so well versus, you know, they've sort of fallen by the wayside. What do you think?
What they're doing now?
Well, not necessarily right now, but the last few years, you know, they ventured off into Australia and North America, and that didn't work.
So that diluted the senior management, obviously.
Okay.
And then there was obviously a change in senior management, and then it became the sales guys had to transition to employed. That's not what they signed up to. So that's when we kind of thought, hang on a second. You know, how can this possibly be our own business if they can just take it away and say, you've got to be employed now? So they said they wouldn't do it with lettings. I wasn't naive enough to think that wouldn't happen. So, yeah, I started thinking, what's the future for me? I don't think it's Purplebricks.
So tell us, what was the future?
Well, the future for me, I didn't know at the time. So it was, I've got some health issues which kind of sort of weave into this sort of quite nicely. So I was diagnosed it's about 2014, I think, with a benign brain tumour, which was a little bit of a shock. And in retrospect, I kind of realised that there were symptoms before that, but, you know, busy life, 3 kids, you kind of dismiss it a bit. Anyhow, so having been diagnosed, I'd caught it, or they had caught it quite early. So I had treatment, it's called gamma knife treatment, which is like a megadose of radiotherapy, which, because the tumour was so small, should have worked. In like 95% of cases, it works. But it takes a while for them to work out whether it's still growing or not. And when I say a while, I mean a few years, because they keep scan every 6 months. Has it grown? No, it hasn't. But it's not shrinking either. So that went on for a few years. And then that last year at Purplebricks, my health was really deteriorating, and, you know, had a few blackouts and hospital admissions, and it was really impacting on life. And I went to see my neurologist with a routine appointment. So this would be November, December 2019. And he said, right, it is growing. You know, it's just unfortunate, but we recommend surgery and we recommend it sooner rather than later. So my immediate reaction was, okay, so how much time do I need to take off work? And they said, well, maybe up to 6 months. So I thought, well, I'll do it after next summer because the summer in lettings in London is always busy. So this is at the Royal London. By the time I got to the station, which is about 100 metres outside the hospital, I thought, Claire, you stupid woman, right? So I rang up, so they gave me a number, rang up the nurse, the practitioner, and said, right, forget what I said. I'll have the surgery as soon as possible. They then have to put a team together. So I had that surgery on the 14th, on Valentine's Day 2020. And that's when all that sort of murmurings of COVID was going on. It wasn't in the UK, but Italy was something happening there, and things were happening in Spain, and obviously we'd come from China. So I was in hospital recovering, and then went home, and that's when COVID really all sort of kicked off. But it just gave me an opportunity to reflect. It also, one of the things that made me realise that Purplebricks had no idea what the agents in the field were doing, because Purplebricks offered to pay a percentage of people's salary.
Okay.
So whatever salary you took from your business. But of course, most business owners will take a minimal salary and they'll take some in dividends, which is obviously what I was doing. And then so the area or divisional directors, whatever they were called, were messaging people, oh, how do you pay yourself? And you really didn't know that. I mean, I thought that would be obvious. I think it would have been obvious to Michael and Kenny. They would have known that. But I suspect that the senior management by then just weren't aware. Anyhow, so made me realise even more that it probably wasn't the right place for me. And then along came, so a company called EXP had launched.
I've never heard of them, Claire.
Not heard of them. Well, you should
I'm sure we'll get to that.
Look out for them. They had launched at the wrong time, November 2019, just before COVID, so they were just getting going, I suppose, and then they couldn't do anything. Anyhow, quite a few Purplebricks agents had gone over to them, including Simon Taylor, who was my counterpart in East London. He had sales, I had lettings. So I looked at them, thought, this looks like a much better option for me. It's genuinely my business. If I build up a managed portfolio, that's mine, I own that. Any sales, all the data, everything is mine. So kind of signed up and then launched the business when I was feeling better, so October. So I've just celebrated 5 years.
So you had more like 8 months of recovery.
I was working. Okay. I was working because I was still with Purplebricks, and lettings still happened. But I actually have quite fond memories of that summer.
Really?
Because we managed to get all the kids home. They were adults, and they all came home, and the sun was shining.
We had great weather that year, didn't we?
I know. The garden was looking great. We were drinking cocktails, and I wasn't flat out working or anything. It was just it was. I know, but I know it was awful for so many people, and I feel bad saying that I have fond memories. I think it's just because it was good family time.
No, yeah, a lot, and I think that's fair though, because it's wild to think that was 5.5 years ago.
I know.
It flies. And it is such a strange period. I mean, I appreciate it's a ridiculous thing to say that we're living through history, but of course everything is history. But what a period. We went straight from Brexit into COVID, straight from COVID into, after that post-COVID period, we have Trussonomics that brought the economy to a stall. Then we've got Trump, which is, in itself is just a wild character and period of time. And then of course, we've got war breaking out across the world, which in the last 20 years has been fairly.
I know.
It's been an intense 6 or 7 years.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's okay for you to look back and say, for that particular window in time, I had the kids at home, the sun was shining, the cocktails in the garden. I think it's okay for you to say. Good. That was a nice period.
Well, we can keep that in then.
We will.
Don't edit it out.
But we will be editing out every reference to EXP you continue to make.
If I say EXP at the end of every sentence, then you won't have a choice.
What we should have done is brought a bottle of Sambuca, and every time we said EXP, we've got to do a shot just to see what happens. So look, let's just tell us about the wonderful EXP, because whilst you are a firm of recruiters, and I make that joke with you all the time. The truth is, what I think EXP are doing for the self-employed model is extraordinary. They're creating awareness. They're making it a viable commercial model for people to go their own way.
Yeah.
Whereas up until now, if we're honest, it's been a bit up and down. But EXP are making that awareness piece. So why is EXP so successful? Why do you love it? Why is it? Tell us a bit more.
Right, it's culture again.
Okay.
So, and that again comes from senior leadership, doesn't it? So the events are great, but we've got to a stage where we've got a lot of agents in areas, so we can actually meet up and we can have those smaller groups. We do it, of our own volition. There's no, you're not mandated to do anything. But we're all people, aren't we? So we like to meet up and share war stories and what have you. And now we've got access to Zoom and WhatsApp and the EXP virtual world. We can have, lots of meetings in it. So culture comes down to culture.
EXP virtual world. Everyone picked up on that, right? So anyone who's not in EXP right now, is thinking virtual world. Go on, just.
So the EXP world, there are meetings held in there. So there's no offices. So even the founder, Glenn Sanford, he doesn't have an office. We might have one at home, I suppose, but anyhow. So they meet in a virtual world. So you have a little avatar and you can do that. If you prefer Zoom, you prefer Teams, do what you want.
Okay, interesting. Well, look, good luck with that. What are the numbers? We're at EXP now because we touched it on very briefly before we hit play on the cameras. Where are we up to now?
Numbers wise, as I understand it, about 850.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It is incredible.
And you're one of the OGs, so good luck.
Well, yeah, I'm agent 114.
Are you? 114. Wow, it's like a Lions jersey. You get your number. Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe I get a tattoo.
Claire, don't pretend you haven't got EXP tattoos. And if you play this very clean, otherwise I'm going to tell people where they are. So we've done the agency side.
Yeah.
We know your origin story. We know everything about agency. I'm going to ask you a question that I ask some of our clients at Digital Sparks.
Right.
To understand what we should be talking about for the next 10 minutes. So if you could only talk about 3 things.
Oh, 3 things.
For the rest of your life.
Oh, God.
What would they be?
3 things for the rest of my life.
You
really put me on the spot there.
I know, I'm good at that.
No, I'm not sure I like that, Ben. What I would like to say, I don't know if it's 3 things, it's probably just one thing and it will lead on to others. But so I mentioned I've got some health issues and they have saved my life, but the surgery has saved my life. But the ongoing issues I have, they're not going to go away. And it's accepting that and moving forward with the issues that I have and getting that message out there to other people. So I was in my late 50s when I launched my business with EXP. And I think there are a lot of people under those circumstances at that age would think, do you know what, I'm done.
That's fair, yeah.
But it had the opposite effect on me, I think. So I thought, sod it, I'm not done. I will not be defined by the issues that I have.
Good for you. So what would you say to people that are thinking they've maybe hit a certain age or they've had maybe a health issue or maybe both?
Yeah.
How do you give them the confidence? What would you say to them to pick themselves up and give it a go?
So surround yourself with sort of people that are going to support you. And that's kind of where Women in State Agency came in. So I connected with Liana. We, it was just on the phone and on Zoom meetings and things. And we didn't actually meet physically for about 6 months. We'd already launched WiEA. And it was just a little Facebook group. But then I could see that there were all these fantastic women all over the country. It opened, so many doors for me, broadened my horizons, because they were, I'd gone from High Street in East London to Purplebricks. I didn't know all of these people and these wonderful organisations, and it's just opened my eyes.
So we've got actually 3 subject matters. WiEA, Women in State Agency, and health are 2 great subject matters for us. So let's continue with WiEA. When did you and Liana set it up?
So that would be It would have been in 2020 during COVID, yeah. Cause,
Okay. Was it a during COVID?
Yeah. So that's when we met, you know,
Okay.
but not physically. And I think we actually, yeah. So it would have been during COVID.
So, how did it come about? You and Liana, you're having a chat. Who says we should have a group for women in the state agency?
Right. I am going to have to mention EXP again. I'm sorry, but
Go on, let somebody get me a bottle of Sambuca.
so Liana at the time was an EXP agent, and in the States they do sort of a ladies' lunch for EXP, and let's try that in the UK. But we didn't have, you know, enough women to make it make sense. It was an online meeting, so we were talking about that, and we thought, well, why does it have to just be EXP? Why can't it be just women in a state agency anywhere in the UK? Liana would have been, was she vice president or president-elect of Property Market at the time?
Okay.
So she was well connected. Just thought, well, let's see if there's something already there, and we couldn't see anything.
Interesting.
Not for women in a state, very specifically women in a state agency.
And so, what started off as a fantastic recruitment idea turned into this brilliant equality initiative?
No, it was going to be just for the women in EXP, but there weren't enough of us. We could still do that anyhow. You know, there was only about 12 of us.
And so it's really, really grown. And obviously, this is the WiEA pod, and so we're talking to a WiEA audience. But you know, for those in the industry that have maybe been living under a rock for the last 5 years, give us the details about what WiEA is and how it helps people.
Right. Obviously, it started with a small Facebook group. It's grown to about 4,500 in the Facebook group, and that is a constant place to support or get support, get questions answered. But more than that, obviously we have the conference, but it's not a conference. It's more than a conference. And we're just planning the fourth conference now, which is going very well. We have an amazing team to do that with. We've got a board.
Let's just hold on. Conference tickets are available right now.
Yes.
The conference is in March 2026. They're going to sell out very, very quickly. Don't miss your opportunity.
It's not a conference.
Oh, who could that be in the background? I wonder. It didn't sound like Neren, the videographer. Thanks, Kirsty. Sorry, back to you.
Yes, so not a conference. And we've got a board.
We do have a board.
Which Verona Frankish, many will know, who's the most amazing chair of the board, and Kirsty Franks as vice chair. We've had some changes on the board of late, which I think has brought lots of new energy and ideas as well, which I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. We have a leadership training programme that's delivered by Jo Bourne and Clare Yates, absolutely superb, supported by Rightmove, so we can keep it affordable.
Very affordable, I might add.
It's about £100,
So Claire and Jo, fantastic trainers
really
and coaches, and so £100. I sent 3 of our team were on yesterday's session.
Right.
Really great feedback, really positive, really good opportunity to meet with other agents from around the country and interact with other people and learn some stuff. At £100 a head, when that goes on sale, you need to get all over it. When new dates become available, you need to jump on it. It's such extraordinary value.
The programme for 2026, I think the first half has already been. So go to the WiEA website, basically, is what I'm saying, and you'll
booked
see
on
there. We have launched the Supporters Charter programme as well, which is an opportunity for businesses, whether they're suppliers or whether they are agents, you know, corporate agents, individuals, self-employed, to just publicly announce basically that they align with our values and they support us and in our our efforts to achieve that true equality.
And I think it's really, so the charter, to give it a bit more airtime and a bit more context, the charter needs to exist, not just to drive equality and spread the message and create alignment and consistency, but the charter also exists as a way to support WiEA as a movement.
Yeah, so every penny raised from the charter will go back into, whether it be training, it could be discounted tickets or free tickets, you know, talking about apprenticeship schemes, and it will all go back into our community.
And I think it's important for people to know that WiEA is not, it's not quite a charity, it's a not-for-profit.
It's not for profit.
But there are running costs for an
Absolutely.
organisation. There are opportunities to use funds raised to help people in their journeys. WiEA, as the beast that it is right now, 4,500 members, supports so many people. The charter is a way of those members supporting other members.
Yeah.
And that's a really important piece because, arguably, we probably don't talk about that enough, actually, as WiEA.
But then hopefully supporting the next generation coming into agency. Some of the people that maybe can't afford to pay for the training themselves, but, if it could be, we can offer some free training. That would,
or further subsidies.
Or further
whatever it might be.
subsidised, yeah.
Yeah. So WiEA is was, I guess, a small idea, a conversation, you and Liana,
yeah.
and we're 5 years later and look where it is now.
I know.
Well done, Claire.
Well, no, it's
Well
not
done.
me, it's a team effort, isn't
Well,
it?
Liana's not here, so you can take it all. I know, it was your idea, really, don't worry. So let's go back to health.
Yeah.
Because before we started, you did mention that we want to talk about health, and I guess you are the perfect case study for someone that said, I don't care, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to make it work.
Yeah.
So a question I asked a moment ago, which we sort of got sidetracked on, is what message can you give people to give them the confidence to go and do what you did, other than being around certain people?
Well, find out what works for you, and it could be finding a more sympathetic employer, for example, because I do have quite a lot of hospital appointments, so I'm sure lots of people that, so if I was in an employed role, my employer would need to understand that. I have days when I still have neurofatigue, so effectively I have a brain injury, and that improves and then seems to slide back again, the fatigue. So again, an employer would have to be very sympathetic to that. So finding a sympathetic employer, or finding a role that then fits with your lifestyle. So there are lots of remote jobs now within agency, lots of sales progressors, virtual assistants, admin support. With the growth of the self-employed sector, lots of different models out there. Lots of people want a VA or an admin. So loads of roles available that you can do remotely if you don't want to be sort of rushing around. You don't want to have perhaps the busy life you had before.
You're right, and I think it's, as a society, specifically in the UK, sort of post-Brexit and everything that's happened, there are more opportunities now than there's probably ever been for you to consider.
I guess so, yes, yeah. But I think so having sort of that range of opportunities means that it should be more accessible. So if you are in a situation where, I don't know, you may be made redundant or something in your late 50s, or if it is a health issue, don't think that that's the end of your working life, because I love what I do. I really enjoy working, and I don't know what I'd do if I didn't work, because I don't have lots of hobbies. This is going off on a tangent, but my elder sister retired this year. She retired a little bit early, but she's got a horse. That takes up so much time. So instead of having to squeeze it into the working day, she can spend all day horsing.
Horsing around.
Yeah.
What a way.
Yeah.
Well, look, but I think it's also, so personal story, my dad retired a couple of years ago. Right. Just circumstance. So he was a rigger, which is in essence a scaffolder for film and television. And the work comes in cycles. So you'll be on a project, it lasts 6 months, then you have a break and you wait for the next project. And so he would normally work maybe 6 months on, a month or two off, and that suited him perfectly. Yeah. And then there were some issues with filming, and it's a bit of a temperamental industry. And in essence, nobody really worked for about 6 months. There's always some lovey in Hollywood making a big deal of nothing. Yeah. And so he went 6 months without working, and then it was winter, and it's outside. He said, "I'm not going to work through the winter." And then all of a sudden, he'd gone 9 or 10 months without working, and sort of, I think I'll just retire. I just won't go back. And he thought that was a good idea at the time, but he's ended up sedentary and not being out and about. He doesn't have hobbies, same as you. Yeah. His major hobby are twofold and interconnected. He's a QPR fan, so that's enough to just ruin anyone's life.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I can speak from first-hand experience. And he's a bit old school. He's a drinker. So, he would, socialise with mates maybe a Friday night and a Sunday afternoon. Other than that, he never got into, golf like a lot of people do. He doesn't really have much in the way of activities. And that sedentary sort of lifestyle has brought on dementia.
Really?
Which is really painful to
sad.
see. So he had memory issues, I would describe them as, for a few years, but nothing major. But not being out and about and interacting with people all the time has led him to not a particularly nice place.
There's lots of evidence now to suggest that, that they know that physical activity can help stave off certain types of dementia, and then also loneliness can lead to dementia. So if you're not interacting, and I keep saying this, I'm a people person. Estate agency is all about people, so it keeps me keeps this going.
Yeah, and so the reason I'm telling that story is because I think what you're doing is absolutely right, and my personal view is, especially with first-hand experience seeing my dad, but that's only happened in the last couple of years. I love what I do. I mean, I do quite a lot of different things. I keep it fun. It's interesting. I like being busy, but I never see a time where I'll think I maybe want to slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
something. You want to keep yourself, ticking over. Keep yourself having conversations, interacting with people. And I think estate agency is just such a perfect sector for people later in life to just sort of dip in and do bits and pieces. They don't have to go full steam.
Because of the way the industry is going towards self-employment or small businesses, perhaps away from the corporates, there are roles, viewing assistants. If you want to get out for a couple of days a week and meet people, and you've got a background in just a background in being with people, I suppose, you could easily do that. And just, or if you want to sell a house a month, a couple of houses a year.
Yeah, I look across the pond.
Yeah.
And that's really common, what you've just described. In North America, people will get their license and they'll just work their community, their friends, their family. And if someone needs to sell, they'll use them. And so they keep their finger sort of on the pulse, but they're not really it's not too intense. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to pull that right back and say that neither of us are advocating for this is an easy job to do on a part-time basis.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
no.
It's very, and because, there's lots of messaging out there. It's a lifestyle business in that Claire's got years and years of experience and a great network. And so for you can pick and choose how it works best for you. But if you're brand new, understand that there's a lot of effort required early on. If you're going to be an agent, especially self-employed agent, there's a lot to take on board and it takes time to build that. But in the future, it can be something that you can run in a way that you choose.
Yes, yeah. And, we do take a lot of our influences from North America anyhow, in society generally, so they've sent us obesity, which is another a whole other story. But yeah, so I see, agency, their model working really well here.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting 10 to 20 years.
20 years? No, I'm not sure I'll be working 20 years, but...
Well, we'll still have our eye on it in 20 years.
Well, maybe, I don't know, I might be, I don't know.
Right, Claire, I'm going to push you. I want one off the... I want to get outside of the square, outside of the box. Give me a fun, different, strange, quirky, interesting story or subject matter for us to discuss for 2 minutes about you that no one's going to be familiar with.
Oh, God. I don't know. Right, okay, my childhood home. Go on.
Okay.
Go on, ask me about my childhood home.
Okay, tell us about your childhood home.
Right, so my father is a vet. So we moved from the countryside when so I'm one of 5, when my eldest brother got to 11 and they realised he needed to be able to get to school on his own and couldn't from where we were, we moved into a suburban area, which is actually where Steph Walker is from. It's Autumn. Oh. So I would have walked past her parents' house to go to school every day. I always think that's a weird fact. Anyhow, I
thought that was going to be the whole story.
No. So we arrived in this sort of leafy suburban area with a menagerie. So because my father was a vet and it was the 1970s, people would just bring sick animals. So as children, we had kestrels, we had owls, we had dogs, cats, guinea pigs, canary birds, tortoise. We had just so many different animals. But the announcement to the neighbours that we'd arrived was the last load in the lorry. They put down the back of the lorry, and the donkey came off the back of the lorry, and the neighbours just couldn't believe it. Honestly, it was like the Beverly Hillbillies had just moved in, because we were like real country kids and with all these animals.
Have arrived.
Yeah, so it was fun.
So, as a child, you were almost like a zookeeper.
A bit like that, yeah.
And now, you're an OG EXP. You know, there's something there, Claire. I'm telling you, there's something there.
I don't know, but yeah, it was. I'll leave that with you.
That is. I do like an interesting fact. Look, Claire, this has been really nice conversation.
Thank you for being kind.
Thank you for being so honest and, you know, not pitching EXP the entire time. I think we only said it 72 times.
And how many times have we mentioned Digital Sparks?
Nowhere near enough. Digital Sparks, the best, most amazing short form video content for your socials.
We are so grateful for Digital Sparks, and it's wonderful to see you doing so well, Ben.
Thank you, Claire. I've really enjoyed this. Guys, if you've enjoyed it, what you should be doing is liking, engaging, sending it to a friend, sharing it, all the buttons. Press the buttons, it really, really helps. And it tells all the presenters that they're doing a good job. See you next time.